that 70s Heron pressed on. Teflon.
Welcome into the Nickel City Crew. I am your host, Rob Crippen. Please like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Nickel City Crew. You can also find our show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, and YouTube. I'm thankful you're choosing us for some of your Buffalo Bills and NFL content again today. This episode is presented by Crippen Legacy Entertainment here on Spreaker. And as always, these are my Bills thoughts said out loud. All right, let's get straight to it. The Buffalo Bills have a new home. Bills fans, Bills Mafia, the Nickel City Crew, welcome in. Wow, that happened fast. I think it was almost a foregone conclusion, but the NFL at the owners' meetings on yesterday, they did unanimously approve a $1.4 billion palace, or if you want to call it that, for the Buffalo Bills to call their new home. They struck a deal with Erie County and got all the legislation taken care of, all the T's crossed and all the I's dotted, and to the tune of $1.4 billion. The Bills will find a new home, and they will be here in Buffalo, in Orchard Park, across the street from the current stadium for the next 30 years. Now, that's in addition with the current lease that they have that's still on the clocks, and I think it's now going to be going year to year. So we're looking at another 34, 35 years of Buffalo Bills football in Western New York. Really happy about it. Joining me tonight, my good friend again, Adam Rupczyk. DT, give me your thoughts, man. The Bills, we're getting a new crib, man. What's up with that? We're getting a new crib.
Hey, Rob, what's up, man? Good to be back. Thanks for having me as always. But yeah, it's exciting. I mean, it's kind of been the murmurs around town really for the last couple of years, if you will, of I think it was 4 or 5 years ago. They did a little quick remodel, tried to do a little upkeep on there, and it was pretty obvious that a quick cheap facelift wasn't going to do the job, and they needed to do the whole deal. So past couple of years, that's kind of been the talk, and I mean, we kind of knew it was coming here for a while, but now I guess put it official at the owners' meeting, and we can say it's been started.
It really has. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about for sure was, I want to definitely get into a couple of specifics about the stadium, but just to give the numbers so everybody knows, $1.4 billion, how that's broken up. The NFL and the Bills together will contribute $550 million. Now that's combined from the state and coming from the Bills as well, $850 million in public, what they call public funding. The county will take the bill for $250, and then the state will take the bill for $600 million to combine and make that $850 million to match up with the NFL and the Bills. Now, I know a lot of people see those numbers, and then they're going to talk about the obvious, which is that's a crazy amount of money. Why are we not building schools and hospitals and different things like that? One thing I will say, and I'm not a fan of public funding, and I'm not a fan of footing the bill, so to speak, to the Western New York residents and the Erie County taxpayers. But what I will say is that it is the cost of the business. The NFL is a business. As we all know, they are the entertainment business. So if you want to play ball, this is the way it goes. As you just spoke to, Adam, that stadium, we love it. It's affectionately the Ralph always to me. I remember even when I was growing up, it was known as Rich Stadium. That'll always be home for me for the Bills growing up for sure. But it's had some problems. It really structurally, they said it wasn't even going to last too much longer. So this had to happen. Everybody loves the Bills. We don't want them to go anywhere. So this is kind of like, you got to shake hands with the devil kind of thing, Adam, right?
Yeah. And I mean, it's an intimidating number out of the jump when you put it on paper all at once, right? When you're talking, $800 million in public. It's the most publicly funded
new stadium. It just passed the Raiders. Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of factors that go into that. Obviously we're biased, towards, we're all Bills, and we want the Bills to stay here as long as possible. And we know they needed a new home for sure. So I'm a little biased towards the fact of, it's the cost of doing business. It's what you got to do to keep it rolling and stay competitive. But, I mean, it was a need. I mean, it wasn't just the stadium was the most outdated in the NFL. It was, the upper deck was going to fall off.
Yeah.
It was legit, real deal, couldn't be there anymore.
Absolutely.
So, I think the public that's against this is quick, to play both sides here. The public that's against this is really pushing the fact of, it's sports. They shouldn't be priority.
Right.
Pagulas are worth $6 billion,
right.
Whatever the case is. But, it's not like Terry Pagula's got $6 billion in his bank account.
Liquid, yes, exactly.
Yeah, the $6 billion is the Bills.
It's tied up in assets,
so,
yes.
So
His oil company.
Just, reach in and they're putting up. What are they putting up? $300 million, right?
Well, no, they've got the G4 fund, which contributed $200 million. So you do the math on that with the $550. So they
match that.
Yeah, so they put in about $350 million of their own money to match with the G4 $200 million, and then obviously the public funding on the $850 difference. So you're right about that.
Proportionally, you have the owner, two people putting in half of what the entire state of New York will put in over 20 years or whatever, or 30 years, whatever the case is.
Right.
That's nothing new in New York. Taxes, obviously, high.
Right.
But I pay taxes. I pay tolls on the throughway every day, and there's still 5-foot potholes out there.
Sure.
So at least I know, putting my taxes on, and it's going towards something like this. I know the Bills are going to be in a new place, a nice stadium that we're all going to enjoy for the foreseeable future here on out. So, I think on both sides of it, that number is very intimidating when you put it on paper, but it really doesn't. It's not just like your tax. You won't even see the difference across the entire state, right?
Absolutely.
But it's going into a business to help keep the Bills here, and they didn't threaten, but they kind of did. It was like.
Yeah, Mark Poloncarz. Yeah, I heard Mark Poloncarz's interview about that. Explain what you heard, because I kind of heard the same thing, that it wasn't like they were going to leave, but they let them know this is a business.
It basically was like public funding is a necessity for something like this. When you're putting a bill down, public funding is necessary. It has to ensure that people want it there. It has to be equal partner. You can get taxed. The whole deal. It has to be there. So if we're not going to public fund it, they can easily go somewhere that would.
Absolutely, and make a lot more money as well. So that's always, I want to keep that in mind for Bills fans as well. They could make more money somewhere in another city. I know San Antonio was floated around, or in which I know Jerry Jones wouldn't have wanted, but Orlando as well. I heard something about. I don't think the Bills were ever going to be leaving anywhere. I don't think that they were ever seriously thinking about leaving. I think the Pagulas have shown with their renovations of downtown that they are committed to the area, but I also want to make sure that it's understood that, this is a business. So because of that, this is, we kind of got to get over it, is what I'm trying to say. Is if you want the Bills to be here in Buffalo, then you kind of have to get over the fact that we could be spending money on different things. And I understand it, and I don't poo-poo the fact that you could be building schools and different things like that. But what I want people to understand is that, hey, if you want the team here, this is the way it had to go, because of the fact that, you're playing with the big boys. This stadium was erected in 1973. It was that's a long time ago. OJ played in that stadium. Like it's been a while, so it's served its purpose, and I'm excited. Now, one more item of house cleaning, I would call it. PSLs. Before we get to the fun part of what we'd like to see in the stadium and some of the things that we've heard, I know I've listened to a lot of WGR and Jeremy White talking about the company that has been hired, the architecture firm Populous, and what they've done with, I think it's Tottenham Stadium overseas.
Yep. They got a couple.
Yeah, they've got some render. Yes,
they got Gillette too.
Gillette, yeah, and most about the coverings and the different things like that for our fan experience. Before we get to that, let's do the house cleaning. PSLs. I want to know what you think about them. I know you know I'm here in Charlotte. Don't go to Carolina Panther games, but I know that they do have them here at their Bank of America Stadium downtown. What do you think about them? For people that don't know what they are, personal seat license, a PSL, is a one-time fee. Think of it as a country club fee. You'll pay it for access to the club and the amenities that the club provides. Now, to the best of my knowledge, it's not a reoccurring fee, and I do believe that that's the case. It is a one-time fee. Now, that fee could be, $4,000 or $5,000, or maybe $10,000 for the sidelines, or 20 or 30 for the suites. Who knows the actual numbers, and we'll figure that out as we get some renderings and we get some more seating numbers kind of ironed down. They're looking at 60 to 62,000 people being in the building and kind of having it a little bit more free flowing. What do you feel about PSLs, Adam? I want to know how does that sit with you as a season ticket holder like myself?
Yeah. I think it's just part of the game. As we talked of a public funding situation, it's PSLs in a new stadium are part of the deal. Any larger city or any new stadium that has been built it's unanimous. There's PSLs that go along with it. It's tough to really explain the PS to someone who doesn't understand it. I'm getting, what do you get? Right? What are you getting with that? Because you basically pay for the right to pay for season tickets.
Right, like a country club.
Down, right?
Yeah.
Like you're paying for the right to buy season tickets.
Correct.
But, I feel like it's proportional in the way of, you're going to cut capacity down 10,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to lose some season ticket holders that have been paying $600, $700 for their season tickets up in the 300s for the last 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
That don't want to pay the, whatever it is, the
price increase
in the PSL, and then on top of their tickets, you'll lose them. But you're losing 10,000 seats anyway.
Right.
So, I feel like the proportion of that's going to kind of equal itself out. The diehards, you and me,
mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say there's no limit, because there's obviously a limit to,
right.
What I can afford. But the number would have to be astronomical for me to not even think twice about buying it. You know what I mean?
I agree.
So, it's it's going to happen. They know it's going to happen. I think as an avid fans like ourselves, it's not a fact of are we doing it or not. It's how much is it going to be.
Yeah, how much? Tell me the bill.
But on GR this morning they had the BP from
Ron Rupczyk. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and he was saying that you will see the difference of your PSL. Like if you have the PSL, you will have access. You will have. So basically, it kind of sounds like they're taking a season ticket holder, and you're going to be paying more, but they give you a little more of a VIP type feel to
experience.
It,
yeah.
Which to be honest, they don't really give you much for your season tickets right now.
They do not.
They
do not.
If they can give me a couple more perks and justify that as this is the PSL, you're an honored VIP season ticket holder now, then okay, whatever. But it's more than just obviously to buy the season too. It's more of a generational thing. And listen, I got these PSLs. You can pass them down to your family.
That's right.
You can. It's more of a thing where all these these football cities, the Green Bays and the Pittsburghs of the world.
That's how they survive.
Yeah, exactly. They have the PSLs. It moves down through the families.
Yeah.
It means a little more. It's not, anybody for the past 20 years could pay $700 and get a season ticket to the Buffalo Bills. I'm not saying we have to be, put in an elite status over the general public, but it's a way to kind of, all right, you're committing to the season ticket. You pay the PSL. Let's get the deal done and get it moving, So that's where I kind of stand on it. It is what it is. It's just the cost of doing business, and hopefully they give you some perks where you feel like it's worth it.
You feel like you're a little bit special. I agree with a lot of what you said, because I agree. They don't give you anything now, really, for being a ticket holder. You've got your the little box. I was going to say I used to, the towel and stuff like that, and maybe a flag every now and then, that type of thing. So I agree with you there. It's just the nature of the beast. I have a real kind of just a chill attitude about it. I'm not going to really get too worked up. I did want it downtown. If it was going to cost another $500 million, obviously that's not probably going to be, the best thing for the Western New York community. They talked about the houses that were going to have to be displaced by moving the team downtown. So I get all that. Those are real people, real businesses that would have had to been displaced. So, listen, we're used to going out to Orchard Park. We can complain all we want about what we don't have. What we do have is the Buffalo Bills. So I'm going to stick.
And you're talking, if the whole deal about that of people had already raised a ton of eyebrows about the $800 million public funding. You double the price of the stadium. It's a lot more public funding.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're right. So as we shift, I wanted to talk about what you are looking for in the stadium, DT. The reason that I really wanted it downtown was for those come back from commercial shots. To be honest, just to, I wanted it on the river, on the waterfront. I wanted it, like Bill's Island or whatever the things they were talking, like some of those cool renderings were really cool to look at. And I had no idea that they were going to just put it right across the street. So having said that, which